Good day. Our group will be reporting about the Cavite Mutiny of 1872. So the primary source that we use is Historia General de Filipinas by Jose Montero y Vidal. And now, what is 1872 Cavite Mutiny? So in these three bullets, it is actually explained how the Cavite Mutiny started. It is actually started on the evening of January 20, 1872. Uh, Filipino stormed or sinugod nila yung Fort San Felipe, yung naval base dito sa Cavite City. Yung dahilan or yung cause ng Cavite Mutiny ay dahil kay Governor General na nakaupo nung panahon na yan na si Iscuerdo dahil sa kanya inalis yung mga benefits or privileges na ini-enjoy ng mga Pinoy. At dahil doon, nagsimula yung Cavite Mutiny.
Mutiny was put down in 3 days. The Spanish regime, under the reactionary governor, Rafael de Izquierdo, magnified the incident and used it as an excuse to clamp down on those Filipinos who had been calling for governmental reform. A number of Filipino intellectuals were seized and accused of complicity with the mutineers. The night after the mutiny started, Governor General Izquierdo ordered the arrest of three notable Filipino priests, which is Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, known as Gamborza. They are the three secular priests who were accused as the brain or mastermind of the Cavite Mutiny that happened in January 1872 and sentenced to the penalty of death by garrote. Instead of allowing Comborza to defend themselves, the Spaniards executed them publicly to serve as a warning to any Filipinos who defies their laws and their country. However, the charges against Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora probably stemmed from their alleged complicity in the workers' uprising at the Cavite Naval Yard. Filipinos were filled with rage and resentment following Comborza's death. They confronted Spanish officials and demanded reforms. The martyrdom of the three priests appears to have influenced the formation of the propaganda movement, which decided to seek reforms and inform Spain about the abuses of its colonial government.
The primary account that we will be presenting is Jose Montero y Vidal's account. The background of the author. He was born on January 28, 1851, in the Andalusian town of Gurgal. He went to Madrid to study law. In 1875, he became civil governor in colonial provinces of the Spanish Empire such as Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Cebu, and Bulacan in the Philippines, which means that Vidal has control over the provinces that was colonized by the Spanish government. He was also the government official residing in Manila when the Cavite Mutiny happened. According to Pardo de Tavera, who was the main source of the Filipino version of Cavite Mutiny, Vidal's statement was biased. And it was truly undeniable for me because of the information of his statements and testaments written on his account. Initially, Vidal scored out that the abolition of privileges enjoyed by the workers of Cavite Arsenal, such as non-payment of tributes and exemption from forced labor, were the main reasons for the revolution, as how they called it. Call for secularization. Filipinos wanted to overthrow the Spanish government to install a new hari in the likes of the three priests, Father Mariano Gomez, Father Jose Burgos, and Father Jacinto Zamora. On January 20, 1872, 200 Filipino soldiers rise up against the Spanish colonial forces inside the Cavite Arsenal. The arsenal is a place where the arms and the weapons of the Spaniards are being made. So the Filipino soldiers, together with the workers from the arsenal, stood up to fight the Spaniards. They were able to execute some of their high-ranking officials, and it is truly a bloody battle. But unfortunately, for the Filipino soldiers, he was they were easily defeated by the reinforcement troops from the Spanish government under the leadership of General Izquierdo. Massive arrests were made against the Filipinos, mestizos, and liberal thinkers, and the clergies or the Filipino friars. Some are imprisoned and some are exiled, such as the Gombursa priests. What is the reason of Cavite Mutiny according to Vidal? Vidal and Izquierdo's statements are biased towards the Spanish government. According to Vidal, the Cavite Mutiny is considered as the starting and conspiracy in order to defeat and overthrow the Spanish government from the Philippines. They said that the idea of revolution came from the spreading propagandas, pamphlets, ideas of the liberal thinkers from Europe, and the educados who criticizes the movement of the government. Jose Montero stated that the Filipino priests teamed up with the rebels and all of the other Spanish enemies in forming a global revolution. In the report to their superiors, they said that the Indios are planning to fight and that they would place at the head of the government the priests Father Burgos and Father Zamora.
Major instigators, yung instigators meaning yung nagpasimula ng Cavite Mutiny katulad ni Sergeant Lamadrid ay namatay habang nakikipaglaban. While the Gambursa were tried by court-martial and then sentenced to die by strangulation. Yun nga, hinatulan na sila. Yung Gambursa na parusa nila is death penalty. Ang way ng death penalty ay yung sa pamamagitan ng garote. As well, yung mga abogado o abogadillos tawag dati ay nasuspend katulad nila De Tavera, Maria Regidor, Jose at Pio Basa. At hindi lang na-suspend yung license nila or pagpo-practice nila ng law. Inaresto din sila, nakulong sila habang buhay at na-exile nga sa may Marianas Island.
February 17, 1872, Spaniards chose to execute Gomburza for those Filipino who tried to fight and resist their orders, in order to instill fear in the Filipinos so that they would never dare to defy them again.
The execution of Gomburza was one of the reasons why Filipinos fought and sacrificed their lives in order some Filipinos to wake up and realize that Spanish colonization of the Philippines must end. As of current Filipino citizen, I believe that the Cavite significance in modern times stems from our own sense of nationalism. These uprisings and movements were among the first by Filipinos against Spanish repressions. Despite knowing that Spanish would have more forces, they fought until the bitter end, resulting in the deaths of three princes, Burgos, Gomez, and Zamora. I believe their execution was unjustifiable because I believe that Spanish side of the story is false. These events serve as a source of inspiration and caution for Filipinos who wants to express their own views against the government and other organizations that mistreat our country and countrymen. We must understand when and how to express our opinions effectively and safely, as we may be falsely accused, as the three friars were during the time period. To summarize, I believe that Cavite Mutiny is still relevant in today's society because of its impact on our beliefs, morals, and rights. Thank you. Crudo was also known to have promptly resigned the liberal measures, thus implementing harsher laws, which ignited an uprising. The Reformation suggested the soldiers of the engineering and artillery corps should pay taxes, from which they were previously exempt, He was the Governor General during the 1872 Cavite Mutiny, which led to execution of 41 of the mutineers, including the Gomburza's martyrs. Crudo also acted as Governor General of Puerto Rico from March 1862 to April 1862. General Rafael Square's official report magnified the event and made use of it to implicate the native clergy, which was then active in the call for secularization. The two accounts complemented and collaborated with one another. Only the general's report was more spiteful.
Secondary sources of the Cavite Mutiny are from Dr. Eusebio Co and the Britannica editor's account. According to the content of these secondary sources, about 200 Caviteños rose in a revolt on January 20, 1872. They assassinated the Spanish commanding officer of Fort San Felipe and seized possession of the fortified military base. The 1872 Cavite Mutiny describes the uprising of the Filipino troops and workers at the Cavite Arsenal due to the removal of the privileges such as exemption from the tribute and forced labor ordered by Governor General Rafael de Izquierdo. After 2 days, the Spanish army put an end to the rebellion. The mutineers were led by Sergeant Fernando Lamadrid, who seized Fort San Felipe and killed 11 Spanish officers. The mutineers thought that soldiers in Manila would join them in a concerted uprising. Unfortunately, what they thought to be the signal was actually a burst of fireworks in celebration of the feast of Our Lady of Loreto. The mutineers gave up the fort the next day after being besieged by a regiment under the command of General Felipe Hinoves. Hinoves then gave the order for his soldiers to open fire on the prisoners, including La Madrid. Although the mutiny was unsuccessful, Gomburza execution, which is a tragic result from the conspiracy allegation of the Spanish authorities, and the Cavite Mutiny were indeed significant historical occurrences that sparked the nationalist movement, which resulted in the 1896 Philippine Revolution.